This episode is brought to you by Peloton. Step up your sweat with the Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus. Swivel your screen 360 degrees and follow your favorite instructors on and off your tread. Track your form and reps with the movement tracking camera. Feel supported as you train on the cushioned slap belt and move to the beat with Sound by Sonos. Elevate your workouts with the Cross Training Tread Plus.
When you want your spring break to feel like and your kids' pool day to feel like and your hotel bed to feel like ooh, and room service to feel like because at Hilton, hospitality feels like
Your cabana's ready. Would you like fresh towels?
it matters where you stay. Book now at Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
Picture this, a curve in the road, a change in plans. Well, what do you say? With the all-new Audi Q3, the answer's always yes. Yes to adventure. Yes to escape. Yes to performance. Yes to comfort. Yes to right now. Because saying yes without hesitation, that's real luxury. The all-new Audi Q3, made for the yes life.
The URC is now in a full sprint from here right up until the end of the season with the international nonsense fully out of the way. We'll be taking a look at the current standings and understanding what on earth is about to happen next on this week's show. Let's start the URC Rewind. I am joined on this impromptu show by Irish Adam and Scottish Ethan. Good evening, gents.
Good evening.
We are shoehorning this into the same recording evening as our Six Nations show, but with no further ado, it was somewhat of a podcast derby last week. All right, sorry. I'll explain what we're going to do first before we jump straight into it. So we're going to review the 3 games that sneakily stuck in on Super Saturday / Super Saturday Eve, as I'm now calling it, aka Friday night. And then we'll be looking ahead to the rest of the URC season. So we're going to start off with Ulster versus Edinburgh on Friday night. And Adam, it couldn't have gone much better.
Yeah, it could have got much better. We could have started a bit better. We were on our toes for that first half. I felt like within the second minute, the Zach Ward yellow card couldn't have came at a.
What was it for? I didn't
almost-
watch this game, so you need to tell me what it was for.
Pardon?
What was he for? What was it for? What did he do?
Oh, hold on. I think it was for a high tackle of some type. Like I think because there was so many red cards and yellow cards in this game that I was just sort of like,
Yeah.
Because I in my head I'm like I know the cards that I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
There was a yellow card in the second minute and that sort of overruled everything else after that. But yeah, I felt like in the first half Ulster were a bit shoddy. Edinburgh played really well. There was a time where the Augustus try was phenomenal in the first half. I thought Conor McKee.
I haven't seen anything from this game, so you're really selling it to me so far. I feel like I need to watch the highlights.
Augustus came back after his ankle injury, his first game back this year, in 2026, and it was an incredible try started by it was Zach Ward off, then ran up the pitch, did a wee sidestep as he normally does, passes it to Conor McKee, then Augustus runs it in from about 15 meters, and he has lumbered up a lot as well. Something that I was excited about this week was seeing Juano Augustus back, especially with the back row doing so well. And do you know what? With the back row of Cormac Izuchukwu, Ben Ward, and Juano Augustus, it was pretty unstoppable. But yeah, for an Ulster fan, really good. We made it count. We were second up until the Stormers won. The red cards, I've got a bit of an issue. I'm sure, Ethan, you can say that the same. Both of the reds should have probably been. I wouldn't have said Harry Sheridan's was a direct red. I think Morris's was a direct red. I think Morris's was more. I think Morris's was more of a direct red than Sheridan's. Both went to bunker review, which I feel like nowadays for referees is sort of the cop out.
It is a cop out. Yeah,
it is a big cop out. But I think there's a Chukwu should have went off for a HIA as well. That was bizarre the way he went down, and he looked really hurt towards the end. Um, but yeah, I think he went off like quite quickly after that anyway. But yeah, good game for Ulster. Really well taken tries. Really pleased with it, given our away form. There's Augustus. Look at the size of him now. He's lumbered up a lot. But given the fact that we have not necessarily had a great away form this season, this could be our. I honestly, I think this is like our third away game this season that we've won in both competitions. If you don't count the mighty game that we had in Amsterdam, the mighty unknown game
Your
in
fixture
Amsterdam.
list is so tantalizing. I don't think we're going to get to see it, especially, but I think you're playing Stormers, Glasgow, and maybe Leinster within your last
Yeah,
four games, all at home.
all at home. Yeah,
Oof,
yeah.
that is box office.
It is. Well, the thing is, for an Ulster fan as well, this time last year we were 14th and we were on 38 points. Cut to this year, we're third in the table. We've like it's really sad now because I can't say, oh, we've got a game in hand, we can still make up points. We've made up those points now. Now we're third, and it's sort of like, how did we get up here then? But I felt like Jack Murphy had a superb game as well, kicked all of his points. One of the Irish tens that go under the radar. If we were to ever speak about 10 talk again, Jack Murphy is that
He's
player.
going to have a hell of a career. If he keeps going
Yes,
like he's going, he's going to have a hell of a career.
he's only 21, 22 years of age, and he's quietly under the radar, chipping away at everything. But knowing him, being an Ulster player, he's going to play when he's 34 and have the game of his life. So when he plays for Ireland. But yeah, Ethan, what did you think, Ethan?
Well, it's one of those ones where I felt Edinburgh played probably the best they've played in a while, but for the first like 40 minutes. And then when Ulster realised, oh, Edinburgh's defensive pattern's really shit, just go there. Because Edinburgh conceded at least two tries from a 1v2 on the wing. I think it was Velikot both times, so that no one was there to back him up. He made the tackle, but they got the offload and just ran it in. And you're
Yeah,
like, it wasn't a great one from that. Um, the first try that you did show, the Thompson one, I thought looked quite nice because Mosesi's like, the non-look pass
Yes, I got
looked
it here.
so much. Yeah,
Don't hang on,
it
keep
looked
talking.
so much like, no, it looked so much like his brother. It's insane. Uh,
There you go.
you see
Lovely.
the no look. Yep. Which is quite good for Masesi because I think it's his second game back from injury, and he looked a lot sharper this game than he did against the Scarlets. But yeah, the Edinburgh's attack wasn't great because it's the sort of thing I mentioned in the chat where when they need to run with the ball or when they're receiving the ball, because when they get caught static, they're not strong enough to bust away or force a gain line. They're not quick enough to get an offload to try and find a gap, and they're not kicking to try and make things a bit chaotic. So it's the Venn diagram of the worst things possible, and that's really frustrating because they
I
just
do.
need to
I
do
do.
one of those things.
Yeah, I did feel like there was something like a little bit missing from like the Edinburgh squad. It was one of those that I think Ulster had a strong enough squad to do it, but as I said, like that I was quite impressed by how well Edinburgh kept in it. Especially
Mhm.
with I just thought that yeah, that first half was really good, and then almost it sort of disintegrated. It was almost like after our red card, it disintegrated for you guys, and then I was sort of like, oh,
Yeah,
it's almost like the red card kind of worked for us. It was kind of
It,
like
yeah,
reverse France.
I think because Adam, your and my team have played Edinburgh in the last 2 weeks back to back, and always with Edinburgh, hashtag always Edinburgh, you go like, I see all these Edinburgh fans complaining all the time, but I'm looking at the table. It doesn't seem so bad. And you've seen the highlights and you're like, oh, okay. And then you actually watch them for a full 80, like, these are awful. Like, how do they charge money for people to watch this team? This is abysmal. And I was watching the score for this game, and Edinburgh were in the lead for a lot of it. And I was like, ooh, is this Ulster letting it slip? Is this Ulster kind of, losing their grip on a maybe home semi-final? And then I checked like the scoreline. I was like, oh, okay, well, there's that worry gone.
Yeah, there's
And I
something
think,
really nice about not altering it. Sorry, Ethan. Something really
yeah,
nice about not like this time last year we'd have got beaten 50-0.
You were really bad
no,
last year.
yeah, I think you should look at the Harry Morris red card and see what you think of that because it's something.
I have seen that, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it will come up. If it comes up, it will come up in not a good way. Okay, yeah. All right. So this is Pat McCary has posted this on socials. Now I've seen some people saying, "Oh, it wasn't that bad" or whatever. Um, I think that this is something that there should be a zero tolerance for in rugby, in my
Yeah,
opinion. The fact that he's bent halfway and he's taking his legs, that's a really bad look. It's a really bad
also,
look. If he'd gone up for it and hit him, but the fact that he's like flying in like that, it's kind of what did you think you were doing, mate? It's a stonewall red for me. And we talk about kind of like in rugby head contact and stuff like that, and what should be a red and what should be a 20-minute yellow and or 10-minute, 20-minute red or is it what's accidental and what's not? For me, stuff like this, and I've always hated the kind of is how he lands thing because that suggests that if someone jumps in the air and you hit their legs and they do a 360 and land on their feet, it wasn't dangerous. No, it's massively dangerous. And for me, if I was the rule maker in rugby, I'd say doing someone that to someone in midair is a straight red and a long ban, in my opinion.
So I think the problem with it is he's so committed to the tackle before. I don't think he's expecting him to jump, but you should be expecting him to jump because the ball's still quite high in the air. And that's the sort of thing. It's like it's you can see because he's not looking, his head's down, he's making, he's getting ready to tackle. But who never jumps to get the ball from a restart or a high ball? And it's just I'm glad it ended okay for is it
Is
Chuckway?
it
uh,
Chuku? Yeah.
it's a Chuku,
Is it
yeah.
Chukwue? Because that could have been a really nasty fall. That is very lucky to
Hmm.
walk away from that the way he
Yeah.
did. And it's, yeah, I know
Uh,
it's,
my first my first thought when it happened was like it wasn't anything to do with the red, but I know that you mentioned about how he landed, Hugh, but when he
mm,
landed you saw his head like shudder and you were like, oh, but he didn't come off for HIA for about 3 to 4 minutes after that, which I find mad in itself. We talk about a game being safety aware, and we see a lot in the Six Nations about the players wearing the mouth guards with the chip inside. It was mad how he didn't go off for HIA for a good 3 to 4 minutes after that, because looking at it in real time and looking at the replay, you'd automatically just go, he needs to get checked. Just automatically, just how the force that he took. Um, but Sheridan's red card as well at the start, that was like shoulders ahead. Like you could kind of see why he went in for a review for that, whereas a review for the one that you've just shown, it just seems like a bit of a cop out from the referee. Doesn't want to give a straight red.
Hmm.
Whereas I can kind of understand Sheridan's one. That was a bit more. But yeah, I can understand why that one was a review. However, that the one that was against Izuchuku, a bit of a cop out.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you've played your game in hand. You're now back up amongst the big boys at the top of the table. It couldn't this season so far couldn't be going much better for Ulster. You wouldn't.
No,
I suppose it could. Obviously, it could, but you'd have snapped someone's hand off for this before the start of the season.
oh yeah. At the start of the season, three out of the four hosts, RIP Ben, formerly known as this parish, said that Ulster were going to be out of the top eight.
I
Uh,
didn't see. I fully admit. I said I don't see what Ulster have changed enough. And on reflection, that was a horrendous take, and I apologize.
yeah, to be fair, I put us in eighth, so I would have bitten your hand off for it. I think, considering the run in that we have, it is going to be like every game's a final now, not to put it in any type of like bad take or whatever like that. Every game is like now like a final. And if we want to challenge cup run as well, we're gonna need to like really dig in our feet now and start producing these wins. And it's really good to hit it now rather than what Ulster normally do is hit it at the start of the season, hit it in the middle, have a crap end of the season. We had our shaky bit in the middle. Hopefully that's our shaky bit done. And hopefully this is a sign of change and things to come for Ulster. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. Moving on then to game number two is going to be Scarlets versus Connacht. Um, I'm speaking to you as a Scarlets fan. I was really disappointed with this. Connacht are bang average, and they humiliated us. Basically, they absolutely thrashed us, 31-14, and they've had at least two tries disallowed as well in this game. One was a bit iffy. It should. It was just a complete no-show from the pack from the Scarlets. I was really frustrated watching it, and there's some senior players who didn't turn up, and there are some. The Scarlets. We talk about a young squad and stuff, and a lot of players who've been thrown in early. At this point, there are 21 and 22-year-olds who are playing better than 31 and 32-year-olds. And that's just the fact of it. I was really disappointed with the effort of the pack. In each of the last three games, the Scarlets have been held up over the line from a try that they should have scored. And it's not just a kind of, oh, unlucky kind of thing. It's like, no, why aren't we scoring these tries? And I was talking to, I can't, is it the second row? Who's the guy with the eagle?
It is the second row, I think. I haven't been on Twitter in a long time, so I'm like,
I see your stuff all the time. I'm sorry if you're watching, mate. I see your stuff all the time. I know you've got your own pod as well. And he was saying like this is the easiest our pack has had it all season, and he was right. And I did right. Here's a question for you. Right, they told me that Connacht are all about them speedy backs. I don't think a single Connacht back touched the ball in this game, but I think they've got about 10 flankers. Like, what's going
yeah.
on?
Do you know what? Like, Connacht are about speedy backs. They do have what seems to be like 10 flankers as well. But I think right now, at the minute, Connacht's going through a bit of a Stuart Lancaster identity crisis, and they're like, we've got big forwards too now, and we're not going to pass it out to our speedy backs. I think it was mainly the forwards that scored as well. But that's
It was
really
all
good for
forwards that
Connacht.
scored. I
It was
checked.
all for, but it was one of those that I think that's a good thing for Connacht, considering they're in the west of Ireland. The weather can get quite tricky. You can't always have speedy backs for Galway weather. Like you're gonna have to consider them for like nice away days in France or South Africa. That's when you unleash your speedy backs. But I feel like Connacht, especially with the likes of Sean Jansen at eight, um, he's a phenomenal player.
He's having a good
Um,
season.
he's having a really good season. And you have the likes of like Joe Joyce, who's going to Gloucester next season, but he's a big unit in the second row as well. Like, I felt like they've had a really good, like, well, on paper, a good forward pack for a while. Not to say that their backlines aren't very good. I'm looking at the backline, didn't quite get to catch this one, but Che Mullins and Shane
Genuinely,
Jennings
I
have
was
done.
at one point I realized it during the game. I was like, do they have wingers? Do Connacht actually have a winger on the pitch? Because I swear it's just more flankers when they pass it
Yeah,
out there.
Che Mullins is former Aaron Sevens. Shane Jennings is another big unit as well. Like Connacht love producing big wingers, like big, like when you think about their like the players that they can produce over the years. Robbie Henshaw is not a small fella, and he came through Connacht as a 12. It's a big Gaelic football, like Gaelic hurling as well, part of the world. They will produce really big athletes that can run at you really quickly. And the likes of it Sam Gilbert as well, coming from the Hurricanes. He's been a nice enough signing for them as well, in their backs. But yeah, it's a great win for Connacht.
Yeah. I was really disappointed with the Scarlets' performance. I thought the backs were okay. Carwyn Leggett-Jones, 18-year-old fly half, 3 starts in a row for the Scarlets in the URC. I think he's playing some good stuff. I thought probably we played a lot of phases in and around the halfway line, and we should have kicked. We should have box kicked. That's partially on Carwyn Leggett because having spoken to Scarlet scrum halves, the call does come from 10 quite a lot of like, we're going nowhere, stick it up. So if he's saying, no, let's play, that's one thing. However, the guy inside him was Gareth Davis, 2-time British and Irish Lion scrum half. And this is what I'm saying about the senior players, is that when Archie Hughes came on, we got better immediately. And how is it that we have Gareth Davis starting, who has been captain? That was the other thing about this game. Fletcher Anderson was captain. We had Johnny Williams and Gareth Davis in the starting team, both who captained us this season. You'd say long-term Scarlets players, senior Scarlets players, and Fletcher Anderson, who's only been around for about 10 games, is wearing the captain's armband. What's going on? And Archie Hughes came on, and we immediately got better with him on. So that's good in a way that we've got this young scrum half who's coming through, who, in my opinion, absolutely has to be capped for Wales in the summer, in my incredibly biased opinion. But why is Gareth Davis not taking on the mantle there? Ioan Jones took his try great. Joe Roberts is super unlucky because of the way that Wales play. We'll talk about Wales in the Six Nations show. Because of the way that Wales is set up, having the playmaking inside centre and the big ball carrying outside centre, it means that Joe Roberts doesn't fit that. But in my opinion, he is clearly the best outside centre in Wales in terms of a pure out-and-out inside centre. And I would love to see him get a go. I think every time he's pulled on a Wales jersey, he's been great. And he's had in losing efforts, he's had 2 fantastic games. I'm going to bring up his try here. Incredibly well finished. But he's unlucky as well because the 2 guys who were playing centre for Wales also happened to both be Scarlets as well. So he's probably looking at it thinking, geez, where am I getting a game here? And, he's too good to be a backup centre for the Scarlets. He's good enough to be starting for most club sides in the UK. I don't want to lose him because he's class, but I think at the moment, because the Welsh starting centre partnership is the Scarlets partnership, it's difficult to see where he's going to get a chance. So, but yeah, credit to Connacht. It was a comfortable win. I thought you were for the better side across the park. Like I said, Ioan Jones took his try well. Carwyn Leggett-Jones is getting a lot of touches. He's going to. It's mad what he's doing at 18 years old. But apart from that, not much to write home about. Anyway, next game, last game that was played this weekend was Bulls versus Stormers. Now, not much of us have seen much of this game. I've watched the highlights. I think the gents, we don't have South African Mohammed with us this week. Apologies, but 32-19 to the Stormers. Based on recent form, that's not what I was expecting. I don't know about you guys.
No, this really Ulster's glory in second really fell on its floor, fell on its face when I saw the Stormers score. But no, it seemed like a really good performance from Stormers. I feel like the South African Shield, I know it's already sorted with the Lions, but the South African derbies are so unpredictable. It
Massively.
seems like it's mainly one, and I don't know why, but every time we do a podcast and stuff, it's either it's mainly away wins, which I find bonkers. I always find that there's mainly away wins, and then when they swap over and they play at home, it's oh, the away team's probably going to win that as well. It just makes it really good for the league in general there because they're really competitive and having the Stormers come back is quite a worry sign for anyone that has top 4 hopes.
Yeah, it's definitely good news for that. I'm just looking at this Bulls team. Stennekamp, Krobala, Vilko Low, Ruin Nohia, Coetzee, Low, Rudolph, Pollard, Aronson, Moody, de Klerk, Creel. It's a bloody good Bulls team. It's a bloody good team. And so for them to drop it at home to the Stormers, look, it's a derby, and look, form and stats and stuff means nothing in derbies. We all know this. However, I think the Bulls should and probably will be disappointed. I mean, I know they're for a fact they're disappointed. 33,000 people in Pretoria. For all the people who are like, oh, all the empty seats in South Africa, 33,000 people. That's like the most attended club rugby match of the weekend by a long way. And yeah, good to see the North-South derby in good form. And it's nice to see the Stormers turn it around. Back-to-back losses against the Sharks, a bad result against the Lions. I've maintained the URC needs a strong Stormers, an absolutely massive club, huge fan base. And it's a rising tide that lifts all ships. Bulls, it's amazing how much progress you can make, and then it all mean nothing immediately because you lose to your biggest rivals. I don't know, Ethan, how much of this you call, but which of these teams are you most worried about from a rest of the URC point of view?
I think I'm just trying to remember because I'm pretty sure we've played the Bulls and Sharks at home, so we have to go play Stormers and Lions away. And I think we actually managed to beat the Stormers last time. I can't remember which year it was. It was either last year or the year before that we actually managed quite a good away one because it's hard getting any points really when you have to go to your South Africa. And because the line that year, the Lions beat us when they had a red card. They just kept getting better and better, and Glasgow just didn't know what to do. But yeah, the Stormers are pretty scary this year, so I'm not looking forward to that.
I think it was the physicality. With the Stormers, the thing that I look for is how's the physicality, and is Damien Willemse on the team sheet? Those are the two things that I look for. Because if both of those things are in the affirmative, I'm like, okay, they've got a chance. And I think the physicality was there. If you look at where their tries came from, close range, brutalizing, kind of Bulls and Stormers kind of swapped identities a little bit. The Stormers are supposed to be the razzle dazzle team. Bulls are supposed to be the big bash team. They're kind of the other way around at the moment. But I thought, yeah, Willemse obviously got player of the match. He's the special sauce. I think he is a player who gets in any team in the world, in my opinion. Right, let's have a quick look then at the URC table. Now that everybody is caught up on 12 games played. Yes, 12. So let's have a look at the standings because it's bloody close, lads. So we got Glasgow top on 45, and then you've got three teams on 41. Stormers, Ulster, and Leinster. And then you got Cardiff on 40, Munster on 39. So you got a top six there. That's all pretty close. And, Ethan, you're obviously as a Glasgow fan, you're top, but your boys have all just played Six Nations.
Yep.
So how are you feeling about holding on to that top spot?
Not optimistic. So we've got Leinster. I think we've got Leinster at home next.
Massive game.
Which will be a big game, but it's one of those annoying games where pretty much those who aren't injured for Leinster/Ireland has played as often as they could for Ireland.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? Is that Leinster will almost definitely rotate. Whereas if you're Franco, do you go, lads, do us a favour? It's opportunity,
I think I'd imagine the team that plays for Glasgow will be similar to the one that played to Connacht and Scarlets and Munster as well, where you've got, I'm trying to think, probably Kyle Rowe. Well, Kyle Rowe got injured, which I didn't even notice. So if he's fit, he'll play. But, like Lancaster and Nathan McBeth and all that. So, yeah, you'd hope that Frank will be like, yeah, you guys will be playing the Leinster because there's no way we're going to let Kyle Steyn and Rory Darge play after playing every single week for Scotland. I know it's hopefully we get some points from that, just enough to.
I mean, they lost to Cardiff, so if Leinster play the Cardiff team, I don't know, Adam, what's your feeling?
I think like this Leinster squad will have people rested. However, it's one of those where you're like, Sheehan got a rest last week. He played this week. He could play. Ronan Gallagher might not play, but Dan Sheehan could be on the bench. There's like, and you have a lot of players like, um, when I'm thinking about Josh Van der Fleer had a lot of rotated minutes as well. He could be on the bench. It's a weird one. I do feel like Leinster could go in with some of their guns loaded. The likes of Jamie Osborne, I don't think is going to play. Gibson
Jack
Park
Conan,
won't. Jack Conan might. Um, there's like all these players that have had like nicely rotated
Sam
minutes this Six
Prendergast.
Nations. He will play. I reckon he definitely will play. And I'd say he's got a lot to prove as well. You've got that toss up between him and Harry Byrne at Leinster as well. And Harry's had an all right season so far.
Rico Ioane might play, but there's upsides.
Yeah, Rico Wani might play. That's a try for Glasgow, but he also needs to prove himself as well. Like I can't believe, well, I can believe it was my hot take this season that he wasn't going to do much for Leinster, but he's doing less than I thought he would. But yeah, you've got those players that you need really clicking together to like beat Glasgow, and it's going to be an interesting game to see whether or not like it's going to be who plays their cards completely right. I do feel like the likes of Sheehan, Conan, Van der Fleer could be there, like they could be playing.
Hmm.
I wouldn't be shocked if they weren't. Especially with Leinster's front row issues as well. You'd sort of expect, a Tag Furlong to maybe be on the bench as well, and then take a little rest the week after. But it's coming to the part of the season where you can't really afford to rest players or rotate for these type of big games.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's move on to the kind of section beneath that. But I suppose I should be talking on Cardiff, I guess. I think Cardiff are just. I'm sorry for being horrible. I think Cardiff are just happy to be here. They never would have thought of this before the season. I think what I've seen from most Cardiff fans, honestly, is have we secured top eight yet? And they're 10 points clear. I think you need 50, realistically, you need 50 points to get top eight. They've got a couple of big games left. Beating Leinster was huge. I think they're still securing it. I mean, look, if you look at the teams beneath them, we've got Munster, I think finishing below Munster, no shame in it. Then you got Lions and Bulls beneath that. Are they going to win two more games than Cardiff in the next six? I think realistically, two more wins for Cardiff does it. Realistically,
I
so
Munster also have a trip to South Africa as well. They also have their South African
gosh,
games as well. Like their I was just looking at like their like incoming games, and it's Sharks next week and Bulls the week after.
oof.
Like they're hitting their South Africa tour in quite a tricky part of the season. When I'm looking at everyone else's
Because then
fix.
they're not going to get Crowley, they're not going to get Casey, they're not going to get Byrne.
Oh, Cardiff are also on a South Africa trip as well. Oh, this is really interesting there because when we say like because I just like completely nullified my point there of you never know. Munster have a South Africa trip. Cardiff are also on a South Africa trip. But then that's given how travel's gonna be. We're not sure yet. Um but yeah, it makes it for an interesting setup because I do feel like the likes of Cardiff could look at it going, we can make a point here, we can make a point there. Munster have up and down form this season. I feel like when they get the likes of Jack Crowley back, it's going to be much nicer. But then the same for Ulster when we play them in April. Like it makes it all for a really nice, tasty lead up
Mm.
for the URC. And is there going to be much change in the top eight? In my opinion, I wouldn't think so. I think everyone in the top eight is really consistent, like consistent enough that they can probably stick on the points. But the thing about it is that all the top eight teams will play each other at some point as well. So it's the beauty of the tournament.
Well, let's just have a wee look at the chasing pack. So, like we said, the Fidelity Secure Drive Lions. I swear they weren't called that the last time we recorded
They
this
they,
podcast.
they were not. They definitely
Um,
weren't.
33. So big gap between Munster and the Lions, and then you got the Bulls on 30, and then you got the Lions on. Sorry, you got Connacht on 30 as well. That snuck up on us because Connacht, I swear, were like 2 from 9 at one point, and now they're 5 from 12. So they've turned it around a bit. You could maybe say that's because of who they played. But then Ospreys are 1 point behind that as well. It would just be like the bastard Ospreys to sneak in by 1 point on last day of the season to get into eighth. But I just can't see, and maybe I'm just being deluded and clouded here, but I just can't see the Bulls dropping out one
You
way or
see,
another.
I'm like looking at the fixtures and you see like the lead in, like the South African teams have a lot of their home games against the Northern Hemisphere teams now. The
Mm,
Bulls play Cardiff. That's probably a win for Bulls. The likes of the Lions, the Sharks, like mainly South African teams at home in this part of the season. And then you have, yeah, well, Edinburgh v Sharks in April. Like it's so interesting because you can see the Sharks also doing what they did last year and almost go up the stages as well. Because that's what they did this time last year. They were like relatively crap until a certain point of the season, and then what they came fourth in the league. It was
yeah,
just like, how did that
third,
happen?
I
But
think.
third, but that's the beauty of the tournament is that it's almost like, oh, so no one's relatively safe. Glasgow have a tough run in. Ulster Stormers, like everyone has a tough run in, and it's all about making our points now, and it's making those points count. And also bonus points because I think Stormers
Yep.
might have more wins than us, but we've got the more bonus points and we're on the exact same points.
Mm,
So like we've got 9 bonus points. Stormers have 9 wins, we have 8 wins, and we're in the exact same points. It's like getting those bonus points means so much as to competition.
absolutely massive.
And Stormers only having 5, will that be of a benefit? Like the next one down is the Bulls, and they're on 6, but they're eighth. So, how lucky can Stormers be at the top still, not making those bonus points?
100%. And then looking right down to the bottom of the table. I mean, Benetton are not completely out of touch, but realistically, I'll be surprised if they make eighth. There's a lot of teams
Yeah.
between them and that point. Edinburgh for me, no. Scarlets are really competing hard not to be the bottom Welsh region. I think it's a very real possibility that the Scarlets are bottom Welsh region coming the end of the year. They've actually won one more game than the Dragons, but the Dragons have won two, drawn three, which is a bizarre stat. It speaks to massive improvement from the Dragons. I think they deserve a lot of credit for that, considering where they were. The Scarlets, look, I mean, still 12 rounds into the season, no try bonus points. It's poor. It's just poor. And 2 bonus points in the whole season. It's just not good enough. And we'll do well to finish above the Dragons. We've got Dragons at home still to play, and that could be everything on it. Because I'm going to sound like a knob here, but here we go. For a club of the stature of the Scarlets, finishing as the worst team in Wales isn't acceptable. So, and we don't know. We've seen that Jared Payne has announced that he's leaving, and rumours are that he's heading back to Ireland. Um,
But
it's just not acceptable for the Scarlets not to be the bottom Welsh region. It's just not in our DNA. And but the thing is now, because our season's effectively over, the coaches might decide that they're just going to go sod it. Let's experiment with selection. Let's give the kids a go, and that might mean losing every game between now and the end of the season. But anyway, I'm going to Scarlet Zebra this Friday. And if I get to the chance to ask Nigel Davis, I shall ask him what the plan is. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, let's look at round 13 or 13? Yeah, round 13.
yeah, 13.
What round 13 has got in store for us with our quickfire predictions. Bulls versus Cardiff. It would be a massive upset if Cardiff won that. 5 o'clock
Yeah.
on a Friday.
That's a weird one, isn't it? Well, it would be 7 o'clock South African time, wouldn't it? So
That's still early.
yeah, yeah. Well, considering the Six Nations timings that we've been getting at 9 o'clock in France, but yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. I could see a Bulls win, but if Cardiff at the minute and their ever-growing monkey paw of let's get a win here, I wouldn't be surprised. But I can't see the Welsh lads traveling for that. I'm not sure.
No, but not
I
many of the Cardiff lads were getting picked by the end. So there's still Sheedy, Ben Thomas, Cam Winnett's not in the
right.
Wales squad these days. Josh Adams won't go. We'll save the Six Nations chat for the Six Nations show, but they should be okay. I think this has got Cardiff 2 losing bonus points special written all over it.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
probably the
sounds
best
fair.
thing
Yeah.
for them.
Well, a win would be the best thing for them, but you know.
Oh well, yeah, yeah,
Um,
no, yeah, oh, yeah.
Scarlets versus Zebra. Boys back. Got to win this. Please. Please. It's not that I dislike Zebra. I've got a lot of time for them. Um, but Jesus Christ. Ulster versus Connacht. Adam, you can't be dropping this one.
No, we cannot. It's at home. We'll have some of our lads back, like our Ireland lads. I think actually, to be fair, considering it'll be a very similar team to what we saw this week, um, I we can't be losing this one. Not at all. So I'd say it'd be a tough enough game, but I'd say Ulster win.
Hmm. Ethan going to
What
Ellis
was
Park, Edinburgh, going to Ellis Park to face the Fidelity Secure Drive. Um, the Wasn't this one? What was this one last season? Was it like 50-0 at half time?
I was trying to think which one it was that Ben
That was
Healy got
that
made
was
the
the one where
scapegoat
Ben Healy
by
was for
Everett.
some reason blamed.
I think so. It was either that or the Bulls. Um, and I'm wondering who's the scapegoat this year
Hmm.
for Everett's disaster planning. But yeah, I mean, the Lions probably will take it, and I'll imagine it's one of those Lions games where they look pretty shaky at the start, and then they somehow get a card or something, and then they start playing so much better, and Edinburgh just is like, how?
And they jouet you to
And
death.
yeah, I can't see a yep. It'll be like it'll be exactly like the Ulster game. That oh yes, lads, they've got a red card. We've got the numbers advantage. Let's ruin it for ourselves.
That's
Yeah,
a, I'm not a
Lions.
betting man, but a sneaky Lions red card yet win.
Yep,
You know, if you are, I cannot give betting advice, and I would never dream of doing so. But this seems very like something that would happen in this game.
yep. I'd probably go like Lions 32 or something like that. Mid 30s to Edinburgh 10.
Hmm. Sounds plausible. Sounds plausible. Hollywood bets Sharks versus Munster. Mm. There's no shortage of needle in this one, Adam. Obviously, Adam, Munster fans famous for their ability to forgive and forget. Um, ha- I think this one might be spicier in the stands than on the pitch.
Yeah, very much so. I do feel like this Munster, like whatever what happened last year was mental enough, and the whole wink gate. But this is going to be Munster without some of their Ireland players. I don't think the Ireland players will travel over for it. Um, I think they'll be given like some type of rest before the
No, I
Challenge
don't think they
Cup.
will either.
So like it's that sort of rest before the Challenge Cup, which Munster are also in with us now. So I think it makes sure that I think it's going to be a Sharks win. However, Sharks, as I said, as we all say, unpredictable, and they can be unpredictably crap. It's the same as Munster at the minute, but could I see a possibility of Munster winning this? Mm, slightly, but I'm going to go for a Sharks win.
I agree.
Yeah.
I've just it popped into my head there. Like, do you think me saying that Munster fans hold a grudge will mean that I'll be blacklisted by Munster fans forever? But part of me thinks yes, I think they will.
Do you know what? We're the Interpro show's already been blacklisted from Leinster Reddit, so
I've
you
heard
know.
about this. I don't understand why. Because you don't actually. I watch the Interpro show every week. You never actually say anything. But forget bad. You're really wrong as a show.
Yeah, well, there is some people that are very self-conscious in their very good rugby team.
I went on Caelan's show a year ago, and I said that it was before Wales versus Ireland, and they rested Caelan Doris for the game, and I was like, Doris is massive for you, resting your captain. I think that might have an impact. And people left comments like, he doesn't know what he's on is about. How could this blah, 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 blah. And I
Yeah.
think what Ireland won it by like 3 points in the end, and I was like, just I wasn't being unreasonable. I was factually correct. Anyway,
Yeah.
if we were already cancelled off Leinster Reddit, what is there to lose? Anyway, Benetton versus Ospreys. Oh, a game that can only be described as on this Saturday. Oh, I'm supposed to be the Welsh voice, aren't I?
It's very Pro 12. It's the
I
most
wouldn't
Pro
be
12
surprised if
game.
the Ospreys win this. Because obviously Benetton aren't going to get the majority. They might get like Paolo Odogwu back and that. But Ospreys, who knows? I don't. Oh no, I can't say that. I'll get cancelled.
An Ospreys
Uh,
win would, ironically enough, be very Pro 12 in its own right.
yeah.
Like, considering, would the Italians have like the likes of Menincello back by this time? Are they the type of team to rest players? Menincello's very good at the minute. That's the terrifying thing
He's
about it.
sickeningly good. I'm not looking forward to watching him play for Toulouse. Anyway, so this game goes one of two ways. Either the Ospreys win and everybody says that it's an Ospreys miracle, or the Ospreys lose by 2 points and everybody says that it's an Ospreys miracle because everything that the Ospreys do is a miracle. Yeah. Ospreys by 10. Who cares? Glasgow versus Leinster. Right, this is the big one. Le Grand game. If I'm Franco, I'm ringing up Suoni Tuipulotu and just going, just give me one more game. Just give me one more game.
I would
know it's one of those ones. Like, it's such a shame that this match. Yeah, it's such a shame it's being played literally the week after the Six Nations.
To lose against
UBB
UBB is the same in the top 14 as being played next weekend.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
I mean, I could see either. I think it'll be close. That it's just whether the Glasgow team, I'm imagining they're going to send out, is capable of pulling it off against a team that's probably got Soleimani, Snyman, and Ioane in it. It'll either be that or Leinster are able to win it by like 5.
Get wee Georgie Horn? Do you think wee Georgie Horn will play?
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Because he's just been doing the bench. So yeah, I could imagine George plays because he's not really done too much during the 6. Well, he was there. He did good things against France and stuff, but he didn't play a full 80.
Yeah. I'm very sorry, everyone. I've just realised there's a Sunday game. Stormers versus Dragons.
Because we forgot about it, I'm gonna say a Dragons win, and it's gonna be the forgotten game of the URC.
I'm gonna go for a draw because the Dragons love a draw.
To cut back to the Leinster Glasgow chat. I think it's gonna come down to who, like, I'm looking at Leinster's last team sheet, and I'm thinking like where they can probably strengthen. And as I say, I do believe that I think that we're going to see one of Sheehan or Kelleher on the bench for Leinster, and I think that's the key. It's who they get back from this Ireland setup, and who has been relatively like rotated. The likes of Jack Conan, Sam Prendergast hasn't really played, so he's going to be playing as well. They need those players to come in and do a job for them for that to happen. And it's whether or not that Glasgow are going to do the exact same thing. So hopefully it can be blockbuster in that way.
Yeah. It's the game of the weekend for sure. And if Glasgow do manage to get the W, especially if they deny Leinster anything from the game, it's a big deal. And then Leinster will be on 5 losses for the season as well if they lose that. And that's a big deal as well.
It is.
But and also, Leinster media person, if you're watching, I have emailed you. Please email me back. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the show. That just leaves me to say thank you to Adam and Ethan. And we're going to now talk about the Six Nations. But because of the magic of YouTube, you will see that before you see this. Anyway, enjoy your rugby. I hope that everybody's team wins. See you next week. Bye.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
But I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.